Hello out there, good people of the internet. This is Nacho Jordi, and with this video, I'm starting a new series of opinion podcasts on all kind of music-related stuff that catches my fancy. For this first installment, I thought I'd speak about a frequent pet peeve of mine, a very common trend that's out there. That for me is a very concerning misunderstanding of what art and music is. At the same time, it's a kind of opinion that I think it's overwhelmingly mainstream in these days, so I thought my contribution could be an interesting addition to the debate, or at least I want to represent the other point of view. So here's the thing. In Reddit and other similar internet forums, you often find questions like, how can I be more creative? Or why do I cringe at my own vocals? Questions like that, in my view, show from the get-go a problem of framing of things that is very, very concerning. I have a lot of problems with this way of framing things, but mainly today I'm going to discuss two of them. The first one has to do with this. Music, by definition, music making is an individual endeavor, at least as it pertains to composition. Of course, if you're in a band, it's a collective activity, but as a composer, as a music maker of any kind, you're on your own. Any musical creation or any artistic creation, for that matter, that is done collectively by committee, etc., is going to be mediocre. There's no way around it. That's the glory and the misery of artistic creation. It's you're on your own there. So asking in a public forum how can I be original is an oxymoron. What makes any piece of art and any piece of music interesting is precisely the fact that one particular human individual with a particular sensitivity and a particular set of experiences in past life has found a way to connect things in a different style, in a different line. For example, expressing some feeling in a way that hasn't ever expressed before, or found some way of reconciling maybe two things that until then they were considered opposites. And thanks to the creativity of music and of human imagination, you can get those two opposite things to stand together in the same plane. And that's the beauty and the revolution you can have with creativity and with music. That for me, like I say, is the both the glory and the misery of artistic creation, was what makes it exciting and a big experience of freedom for a human being to enjoy, and also what makes it very, very tough because you're completely on your own, and often the artistic creation entails a tremendous act of faith by the artist, because someone put it like this: you're with any artistic creation, with any artistic piece you give to the world, you're creating a new demand, something that didn't exist. It's like the typical example is Beethoven Ninth Symphony. People didn't know they needed a symphony that different, that broke all the traditional parameters of what classic music was, until they listened to that piece of music. And so the musician, the author, the creative person is on his or her own, pushing that new vision of things until the moment where you take it to the market, you take it to the other fellow humans, and you get the A or the nay. And also, even after that, sometimes you have to stick to that faith, because sometimes what you do is so revolutionary that you don't even get understood in your own life. The tragical, typical case is always Vincent van Gogh, who I think in his life he sold like 2 paintings, something like that, because his vision was too radical, too different for the taste of the age. The age had to catch up, and it took them some time to acknowledge what he did as good, as revolutionary. So going back to the Reddit, the questions that I find so concerning, the reasoning behind these kind of questions is something like, tell me please how to be creative so I don't have to think more about it and I can be done with the whole creativity thing. Give me the recipe. And like I say, it's to me it's a complete misunderstanding of parameters, and all that people is doomed. Even if they got a wonderful recipe, they are never going to do any music that's any worth. It will be just an addition to the pile of dribble, of meaningless noise that the ease of technology has caused a lot of photocopies, musical photocopies all around, and everybody thinks they can make music because it's very easy to do with computers. But to make a real contribution, you cannot ask other people how to be creative. It's like it's a complete absurd, and I pity those people really. I think creative people, really creative people, are first and foremost they are explorers, people who are not afraid to think outside the box and to try out new things. You get to be creative by trying out things, not by going to a forum and asking for the premise and then that you are supposed to follow like a meat robot. Oh, I've been told to be creative, I have to do step 1, 2, 3. I find the whole thing totally ridiculous. A really creative person is a person who cannot help himself. A creative person soon learns to carry a notebook, some capture gear always around, and to train oneself to catch all those weird ideas that come when you are distracted. And you have to be very quick because that kind of visions last an instant, but that's where creativity lays. It's where you often find the best things when you're distracted and you have like thoughts that are not registered by, I'm not censored by yourself. Maybe you just woke up and you're taking a shower and you're lost in your thoughts and in your past, and maybe you think, hey, I'm milking my sorrow. And then if you stop yourself for a second and say, hey, what's that nonsense I just said? Milk my sorrow. Hey, it's weird, an expression, 2 words that never had met before. Maybe there's something there, milk my sorrow. But in all these people who make these kind of questions, there's not that dimension of joy. I don't see that, and I really pity them because I imagine them like doing stretches in the morning before getting to the door, like today's day, today I make my masterpiece. I've studied all the lessons, I trained hard. And they make me feel I think it's a sad thing to see, really, because they are going to get nowhere with this way of looking at things, and also they are missing out on all the fun of making music. I mean, sometimes you see things like a 16-year-old guy very concerned because he should be more advanced by now. I mean, it's totally absurd, and it's a totally absurd way of looking at things, really. And also the second point I wanted to make about this situation, this way of looking at things, at music making and creativity, is that in those questions there's a rake that I find particularly concerning and disgusting, suicidal. That is a fierce, scary individualism, as if creativity was some kind of race where some make it and others fail and fall dead in the middle of the road. Yeah, it's true that these are people who are asking questions at a public forum. So that's not, in a way, that's not individualist But it's a kind of question that, like from engineer to engineer, like which size of bolt do I have to use here? And again, that's not conducive to creativity at all. What I mean by fierce individualism is that all these people seem to lack all kind of appreciation of other people's work, and it really scares me, this the lack of this dimension in people's creativity. I think a guy who posts a question like how can I make a good melody is missing the point totally of what music is about. And it's like someone speaking as if he didn't have his own ears and he hasn't the decision power to say, hey, this is a good melody, I like it, or hey, this other melody I'm listening to, I don't like it. The way an artist is born, in my view, is generally starts by being a consumer of that art you like that art and can't get enough of it. And at some point, perhaps you listen to someone. In the case of music, you listen to somebody's melody and you fall in love with that melody and start to wonder why is it, how come this melody touches me so much, why is it so beautiful, or why is it so energetic, or why it speaks so much to me. And then if the obsession continues, maybe you break down that melody and try to analyze it, and maybe you try to make variations of it and plagiarize it consciously or unconsciously. That's something every artist in formation does. It's great and it's necessary. And only when you have many of those loves, of those obsessions, that's when you end up creating your own artistic style of your own. That's not something you cannot learn by someone teaching you do this, do that, do that. It's creepy. I find it creepy and disgusting. And art is about having an aesthetic experience and intellectual experience too, and not about recipes. About this thing of plagiarizing, sometimes in the process of copying someone, you find something of your own that you didn't expect, and that also helps you create your own brand, your own style. And nothing of that can be given by the hot tips in Reddit. You need to go walk the walk and do all this coming and going and hitting your head against the wall as part of the creative process. And then when a melody of yours is good and it's simple, behind that simplicity is the hours and hours and lots of melodies that didn't work, and you wonder what the hell is happening with me. The creative process is not straightforward, very rarely. And it used to be, I think, understood that a creator takes time to be born, and at first you start creating a lot, but you don't even dream of distributing that stuff. Maybe you start like seeing it like sort of a game. For example, like making a make-believe album and try to trade it with your friends. For example, in my own case, I started trading tapes. I made an exercise of recording songs one a day in a tape, and when the tape was completed, maybe I gave it to my friends. I passed it around and they listened to it, and they had a laugh, and that was the experience. And everything that is serious starts as a game. Birds, for example, it's known that they learn to fly by playing. They play games, they chase each other, and this dimension of game, I see it very lacking in all these hot shots. They don't want to waste time. They just want the tricks of the trade, number 1, 2, and 3, so that they can make it big in music. I think they are wasting their time, they are wasting our time, they are not going to produce anything that is worth anything. If you lose the fun of perspective, you're lost, particularly with music. So in summary, I think the big point here I'm trying to make is that there's no recipe for creativity. And also, there's not a recipe to become successful at the same time making some worthwhile music, because there are recipes to become successful if you want to give up. creativity. There are series of made formulas, ways of acting, and you see many celebrities out there. You can name your own names of people who are famous, but you think they are a hack. They are not good at all, and I'm very convinced that people probably has gone through the success recipe, not giving any thought to their actual contribution. Those people enjoy the perks of the fame. They consider themselves great, but they are giving nothing to the world, and then they are going to be quickly forgotten. It all depends on how important it is for you to leave something useful, something worthwhile that can be enjoyed by generations. But if you follow that road, if leaving behind a body of work interesting is important for you, then there's no way in hell you can do that with a recipe. And you have to create your own way as you walk through it. So that's again the glory and the misery of being an artist. And also another point I want to underline is it's very important to have an appreciation of other people's work and don't see it like a race. There's this saying that I love that says that the nightingale is the bird with the most beautiful song. But if in the forest there were only nightingales, the forest would be a very lonely place. For me, it's not a race, but about being part of a community of voices in which each member has their say, and that's the beauty and the thickness and the richness of the whole thing. And all the music you make is going to be the tip of the iceberg of all that music you've loved and hated and tried to understand and follow, and songs you've covered, etc. And those people who don't see like that, and again, I think what they do is pointless, and also I feel sad for them. They are missing the fun part. And as you know, it is called playing music. It's supposed to be fun. That's what I had for today. I hope you enjoyed these kind of little comments. Thank you everybody for listening. Until next time. Bye.